Hey Sob, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. It's actually fine, I think. Okay. So, yeah, I just opened the stream. Oh, you know what? We gotta do social media stuff. Except my LinkedIn stuff is borked, man. What are all my loyal LinkedIn fans going to do? God damn it. The funny thing is that LinkedIn login works, but LinkedIn, like I can log in, but I cannot send messages. Sending messages borks, actually. It's such a stupid situation. It's like it's like peak LinkedIn. It's like this works, but then sending messages doesn't work. What the fuck? Now it works? What? What? It was giving me a Python panic. Now I posted foo. Oh no. Now, like I ruined my social media track with this foo post. What? Oh no, you get all your news from LinkedIn. No. What a disaster, right? Okay, man, okay, but if this fails, I'm gonna get angry. And I have no idea what the URL is for my other live stream thing. Will I be recommended myself? Look, oh my god. YouTube, great job. Thank you for recommending myself to myself. YouTube, great job. Honestly, best recommendation I got from YouTube in a while. Okay, now watch this fail for no reason. Yeah, it does. How? Hey, Steven. Hello, hello. Also, hi, Cyberfart. Hello, hello. Yes, I'm slowly returning, man. Slowly getting back to it. So the thing is, I could have started sooner. I was just procrastinating so fucking much on all the things that I needed to do to wrap up Software You Can Love, which, by the way, I'm not done yet. I still have some to do. And I did not want to allow myself to do live coding until I was pretty much done with all the other stuff. So, okay, how was that other thing working while this one poops itself? Do I have like a virtual amp or something? I don't. So I guess it has to be with the way. Oh, maybe this is it. What if we do this instead? Oops. Maybe this was the solution all along. Huh. Let's see. Software You Can Love was awesome, by the way. Let's go. Thank you for all the effort you put in. Yeah, no, thank to you. It was good. I have already in mind a few things that I want to improve to Software You Can Love for the next one. Let me show you something. This is not like guaranteed, but this was a location that I was looking into that might be interesting. Is this about the museum? No. I'm actually surprised that I guess they don't put this up front on the English version, I guess. Okay, one sec, because I'm okay, we're getting there. Do I get an English version of this? Oh, wait, what? I don't. Okay, sorry, I was just messing around. Well, I guess Italian version has to be. So this is the Science Museum. Yes, it can be a venue because it has a bunch of spaces that can be used. Some make more sense than others for us, like the well, not exactly a barn, but that kind of space. So very empty, not super interesting for us. But they also have to do this, the auditorium. Actually, I think the PDF doesn't even do it justice, does it? Oh no. Okay, they have a few pictures. I think the website has even better pictures. So auditorium. So auditorium, it's 234 seats. So it's bigger than the last time, but than the cinema, but it's not terribly dramatically bigger. And look, you get both and a stage. Can you imagine having both? Because for now we kind of had to I don't know, make do with what the other venues had. This one has, in my opinion, a very interesting location. They also have like you know, an area for production. It looks cool, right? Like the cinema was cool, I think. But this, in some ways, it's a step up. One problem with this location is that I would expect them to not have on-site as much easily available like stuff to buy in terms of water and food. I might be wrong though, because I would expect the museum to have a bar inside of it. And if it's like, you know, big, well stocked, decent enough, it could actually be a reasonable way for people to get water, coffee, snacks, whatever. Yeah, bar is in coffee bar. So like, not necessarily focused on drinking. Sorry, I keep calling these things bars because that's what we call them around here. But like, yeah, a coffee shop, I guess. Museum coffee shop. So I would have to scout the venue. Also, another point, you know, these people, like, it's the freaking National Museum of Science, so they might want you to pay a bunch for the space. What did I lose connection to? I lost connection to something. I think I lost connection to YouTube briefly. Anyway, seems that Twitch is fine. Let me see if I can find it. Copy link. I'll bring you some cheese so you can fully enjoy the event. What cheese are you going to bring? Which cheese? Also, what happens? Wait, I lost connection. Am I still live on YouTube? Because YouTube is like more complicated. So now I wonder if it's if it's working fine or not. Let me double check. Are we still live? Yeah, we're still live. 6 faithful viewers are watching. Awesome. Yeah, sorry. Okay, check this out. So this is like a very different space. Good cheese. Oh god. So this one is less fancy in some ways. It's more like a warehouse style of place. Is there some ZigCon coming up? Well, it's not exactly a ZigCon, but it already happened. I'm talking about planning it for next year. So if you go to sycl.it, which stands for, it's the acronym of Zen Love. Yeah, we had a Software You Can Love in Milan. It was hosted in a cinema. It was fun. It was a nice event. It was definitely like, this is the third one that we ran, and I feel like every year we improve something. Although I would say this was definitely a big improvement over the first Software You Can Love, which was both in Milan, both mainly organized by me. The second Software You Can Love was in Vancouver, organized by Matt Knight. And that one was already like a huge step on its own. So I would say the improvement that I feel happened was mainly comparing my event with my previous event. I feel like Matt's... I don't feel like this Software You Can Love was a huge improvement over the one in Vancouver. That one was pretty cool in its own right. But when it comes to things organized directly by me, this was definitely a huge step up. And yeah. And I'm talking about organizing the next one. So it's not exactly a ZigCon because it's called Software You Can Love, and it does feature a ton of Zig, but it's not only Zig. For example, we had Richard Feldman and the people from the rock programming language community also come over, and there were some talks about the rock programming language, not Zig. So we also had badges. Oh, it's green, so it becomes transparent. So it isn't magic transparent, it's just my green screen. But like we had this electronic badge, custom made, based on a publicly available design, but it was custom made by Matt. You can see the 8-bit music video. Okay. Let's go with this one for a while, I guess. Okay, so about the multiple lanes stuff. One track is kind of nice though, because you know everyone there watched the same thing. Yeah, that's kind of the point. So I guess the question is, there are two problems that come from multiple lanes, and one thing that you gain by having it. The problem, I guess, the thing that you gain is that obviously you can have more talks, because right now we have like a 2-day, 3-day, 4-day event, depends on how many days you want to attend, but like it's a multi-day event. It's a big thing. People that come from abroad need to buy a plane ticket, hotel, come over. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and then we organize all of this thing, and then we have like 12 talks that we're going to show. Only 12. And that's not a lot of talks. Also, when it comes to selecting which talks to have at the event, it's tough because you have to make tough decisions. Because what happens usually is that you get more proposals than that. And so you tend to have to cut, to say no to talks that would actually be perfectly reasonable to have. Maybe, you know, as the organizer, you have an idea of what you want to have at your event, what you expect to see. But then you don't know for sure how things are going to work out in the end. So you might even make bad choices. And some of the good talks that you have to say no because you expect another talk to be better, or like a better fit for one reason or another. It turns out that maybe it's not that. And so it seems that it would be good, right? That you are able to schedule more talks for the event. And likewise, I guess the other side of this equation is that as an attendee, you get more options. So an attendee is more easily, they have a higher chance that they're going to find a talk that they like, because they can choose between two options or more for every time slot, right? So maybe you're more interested in, I don't know, embedded stuff. So you will follow the embedded talks and skip other ones that are like, I don't know, more compiler related, web stuff, whatever, or vice versa. There's a problem though that comes with that, right? The problem is, there are two problems. One is that people are not anymore listening to one consistent narrative. So in a sense, when you organize an event of this kind, you are telling a story. The storytelling is complicated and messy because it's not one person telling a story, but it's multiple speakers, each talking about a different thing, each with their own understanding of things. So they are not going to, give you one consistent view. But at the same time, usually speakers, they're aware of what other things people are saying at the conference, and they are able to play off each other's, arguments a little bit, like people referencing what was said in a previous talk, and maybe provide another perspective, dive deeper, a counterpoint to something, for example. So that also happens. So I wouldn't say that. Hello, Ginger. Hello, Ginger Bill. Wait, did you change your nickname? Was it always Ginger_Bill on Twitch? Wait, I should also ask. No? Okay, then never mind. I don't know. For some reason, I thought you had something like GBL or something. Never mind. Always been that. Okay, cool. So my point is that when you go to a conference, a single track conference, you are exposed to one story. The storytelling isn't particularly, locked down and consistent and crafted as if it was one big story being told by one person. But you are exposed to ultimately like a somewhat limited set of ideas that tend to all be pointed in the same vague direction and all help, move discussion towards certain topics. When you start breaking this up and you start having multiple talk lanes, you lose that. So my point is that I'm not claiming that, there's super strong storytelling at a conference. That's not the case, but there is some. And maybe you don't think about it much, but I do believe that it's something that ultimately helps make the event be more memorable, more interesting, and you not completely, but you really take a big hit in that department the moment you start splitting up, because people will start talking about very different topics and everything falls apart from that perspective, which is also what Sobson was saying, right? People are not gonna watch the same thing. There are gonna be splits. There's a second point also that like another problem with multiple tracks, which is in some ways costs. Long story short, I've been to huge conferences, like one of the biggest ones that I can think of. Okay, the biggest one is AWS reInvent, although that thing is insane. I've been to AWS reInvent, I think the 2019 one. You know what? Guess what I have here? I have my AWS reInvent badge. Sorry, it's backwards, but you can kind of make it out, right? AWS reInvent 19. Let me Google how many people were there. $60,000 attendees. 60,000 attendees. It was absolutely insane. Okay, setting this aside though, this is like when you get into this realm, like it's a different type of thing. It's not like a conference as we normal people mean when we say conference. It's completely different. But a very big one that I've been to is NDC Oslo. So NDC Oslo It's very big still, nowhere near as big as reInvent, but very big. They rent an entire like a stadium, like a hockey stadium, and basically the center of the ring is where you have like your main stage, where you have the keynotes. There's a bunch of stands all around with like company stands and food stands. Then they have, I believe, something like 8 or more tracks running in parallel. At least they used to. Let me double check this. Yeah, because all these are in parallel, right? I said 8. I think that's 1 through 7 plus 2 workshops, I guess. So yeah, 7 tracks. And so here's what I wanted to say then. The point is, NDC Oslo is a very nice conference, but the ticket is insanely expensive. You have to pay so all access pass, which I don't know what's gonna include, but let's say the 3-day conference pass, which I believe is like the main conference. Okay, let's see how much is this in USD. That's 1,600 USD to access the event. It's really expensive, but you get all these things. The problem is you get all these things. You get all the like the food stands. They give you food for free. You can spend the entire day eating stuff, drinking stuff. They have like the coffee espresso stand that is like tries to give you good coffee. Spoilers, it's not good, but I guess it's better than, it's not the worst either. They have the chicken something stand, the something else stand, vegetarian, the vegan, name it, you can have it. But the point is, you kinda have to, like, the price has to be this high, maybe not exactly this high, but the price has to be high to offer the kind of service. And you get to a point where you're not paying for what you consume. What you consume and what you pay become two separate quantities. They don't lose all relationship. There is still a relationship between the two, obviously. But it really becomes different. In a sense, with Software You Can Love right now, the price of the ticket was what it was because, so the ticket for Software You Can Love this year for the full event was 200 euros. 200 euros included the cost of the badge, which it was actually, even then, it was a very, how can I say, understated cost, in the sense, understated as in, well, the real cost for this thing, had we had to pay for it for real, would have been actually higher because, well, the materials are not all that expensive. But the work to make this happen was ginormous, mostly shouldered by Matt Knight, who pretty much did it for free. So we got these badges for free. Well, let's say the R&D cost was pretty much free. In any case, setting that aside, you had to pay for the badge, and then you kind of had to pay as an attendee, mainly for the rooms, the spaces, because there wasn't much else that the conference was giving you. And so if I were to, for example, scale Software You Can Love to having, 4 parallel tracks, in a sense, your event ticket will have to cover a fraction of the cost of renting 4 rooms. These costs don't scale exactly linearly, so how can I say? It's not like your ticket price is gonna quadruple, because you do have, economy of scale effects that are good, where the more people attend, the less actually the ticket price can be, the lower it can be. But at the same time, you will have in some ways to pay for a lot of stuff that you're not going to be able to consume, because you have, like, you go to NDC Oslo, you have 7 tracks, you're going to be able to attend one of those at a time. And all the other 6, you had to pay for more or less directly, and you are not going to be able to attend them. You do get the choice of which one you want to attend, right? So of all the 7 ones, you get the option of picking the one that you like the most, and you're not being, in a sense, force-fed, the only one option that you have. So that's, I guess, the advantage over single-track conferences. But man, it gets expensive very quickly. And so the flip side of this is that once it stops being a thing where the cost of the ticket is somewhat connected to the cost of running the event, and things become so muddy, and the costs go up, and then you also have sponsors come in, everything becomes, I don't know, in my opinion, it's like a highway, maybe a slippery slope, where you kind of going to basically get into the thing where your event becomes overly sponsored at some point, overly commercial, and I don't want that. Like, I can understand, like, it's not necessarily bad for a conference to have sponsors, and I don't know, then because of that, give space to the sponsors. Like, there's plenty of conferences where, as a sponsor, you can basically buy the keynote talk. I went to PyCon this year, and in Florence, and PyCon had like a company be their main sponsor that got the keynote. But I don't want to give the keynote to people who paid for it. So it's like, I'm not judging particularly much, but I don't want to do it. Like, I went to NDC Oslo a bunch of times. It's an amazing conference in many ways, but ultimately, I always found it a fucking boring conference, with all due respect to all the people who spoke there, including me. But it's too full of Microsoft shit. I'm sorry. I just can't stand it. So I want my conference to be different, not because of principles, but because I want it to be an interesting thing for myself, first and foremost. And so, yeah. I watched about 10 minutes of a Salesforce talk, and it was just a long form ad. Yes. One actually practical problem that happens with this type of arrangements is that what happens normally, so here's how the sausage is made. You set up a conference, you grow the conference a little bit. As your conference grows, it becomes more enticing for marketing. So what you do is that, like, you prepare this brochure where you say, look, we're this kind of conference, we have this kind of attendance, these are the numbers, this is the scale, this is maybe our particular things about this event that make it particularly interesting. Or like, some conferences are like very they even know how to segment their attendance. They say, oh, you know what, we get this many senior developers, this many managers, this many C-levels. So like, we have, I don't know, 1,000 people coming, and 40% of them are C-levels, wink wink. And so this all becomes like something that you present to marketing of a potential sponsor, and you tell them, well, this is how much you can pay to have this is how much you can pay to have that. They pay, and then they also get sometimes like a speaking slot. The problem is the people who buy the speaking slot are not the people who are going to give the talk most of the time. Like, they will send somebody else to give the talk. This somebody else is most often not somebody who is particularly good at giving talks. How do you know that? Well, why is that the case? Well, if you think about it, they get speaking slots by spending money. They don't get speaking slots by applying. Like, the same company could actually apply with an interesting talk and give that talk free of charge, but they're not going to be able to pull it off. Like, the reason why there's a money exchange is because they are not able to pull it off through different means. They don't have the strength in a sense. And then you have it's a spectrum though. It's not like binary. Either you can do it or you can't. There's also like a full spectrum of like developer advocacy and all these figures who sometimes get in because they propose an interesting talk. Some other times they pay. Some other times it's like a mix of the two things. Even in any case, the problem is that these people who pay to get a speaking slot, they're not great at giving talks, and they don't have great talking points most of the time. So yes, it is not unheard of for these things to become pretty much a 45-minute long, super boring ad. When I used to be part of Redis Labs and we were organizing RedisConf, I remember having to talk with people and like fight internally to make space for actually genuinely interesting talks, because there were so many people inside of the company who were in sales or in marketing, especially sales, who basically wanted to offer speaking slots to their friends, like to their customer. Like you're somebody in sales, you made a huge sale of Redis Enterprise, and so like you want to give space to your customer to tell their story. The problem is that their story is super fucking boring, because it ultimately, at least in the case of Redis, it was always, this was the formula, VP of something, director of something else comes on stage, works for $ huge fintech company most of the time even, spends 15 minutes telling you about what is it that their company does, which is super fucking boring fintech stuff, shows you a diagram of a huge amount of tiny boxes that you can't even read what they do, and tries to convince you that everything is super important, super mission critical, and at some point in there's a Redis, and the Redis helps with something, usually service that was implemented in a shitty language, implemented in a shitty way, and Redis just, it's like a band-aid put there to make the thing just slightly less shitty. Yeah. and then thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and that's pretty much where it ends. And so there is nothing to learn there, absolutely. And it's like it's deadly boring. So the funny thing is that back when the company was still organizing RedisConf, they at some point they stopped. Well, because of COVID, they stopped, and then they never got back into it. They ran the conference for quite a few years, and they were never able to grow it past, I believe, 400 people coming to the event. And by the way, maybe I shouldn't throw shade. I personally have never run an event with 400 people in it. The latest Software You Can Love was 146. We filled the cinema room. That was pretty much it. Let me see if I can show you some pictures for the people who were not there. Yeah, that's kind of how it was. You get the idea. That said, they had a, let's say, they had a 6 zeros budget to run the event every year, and so 6 zeros, and a lot of people basically had their flight and everything else being paid to go there. Now that I think about it, when I spoke the first time, they did not even pay for my flight, motherfuckers. Anyway, this is before I joined the company. Like the thing started with me being a speaker at RedisConf 1 year. But the point is, so they had trouble growing it. Why? Because they ran it in San Francisco, which is giga expensive, and then you have to make it interesting. Like you can't You can't bore people to death every single time with a ton of talks from your customers, because they are super freaking boring. I figure it must be really hard to corral a bunch of introverts into a building and have some sort of some of them speak publicly about their narrow programming interests. It can be done. Like, I feel like that I was actually surprised that about Software You Can Love this year, because the badge. So Software You Can Love has always had, the ones that I've organized in Milan, has always had one day that we originally called the Tables Day. The latest name was Social Hacking. The Social Hacking Day. I'll try. I need to get used to saying the Social Hacking Day. But the idea is, of 3 main days of the event, only 2 have talks. The first day this year, and instead the middle day, the first year, is instead a day where there are no scheduled talks, and we even met in a different building this time to go to a place where there were a bunch of tables, and people could just sit around tables and work on stuff together, and like shake hands, meet people for the first time, make new friends. This is the hotel where we were at, and this was a workshop room. Let me see if I have any photo of the main room. Like, I think this is the main room. It's just that these 2 guys are covering everything. This is August, by the way, and this is King. And as you can see, King he drew all the, like, he had this t-shirt custom printed. That's hilarious. Let me see if I can find a picture of the room. I think we should have some. Yeah, we have a bunch of the cinema. Oh, yeah. So as you can see, it was pretty full, for real. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, there we go. Almost. Yeah, like, check this out. And that's kind of the idea. So, Social Hacking Day. And so the idea is that there's like no program that day. It's like you get there, you sit somewhere, and you start making friends, which is kind of intense, absolutely intense. And in fact, part of the reason why we did the badge this year was to say, well, you know what, you have something to talk about. You don't know anybody, you're getting there for the first time, but at least you can all work together on something for the badge, so you have something to share. Turns out, I spoke with people after the event, and a lot of people told me, you know what, I actually didn't have any time to work on anything for the badge, because once I sat down and started chatting with people, I spent the time chatting about other stuff. We didn't get to do anything with the badge at all. So I'm sure that for some people, there were a bunch of programs that were made for the badge. And for a bunch of people, I'm sure that the badge was actually, useful to break the ice. But for in my opinion, surprisingly amount of people, it wasn't even necessary. And that was interesting because obviously, the last time that we ran Software You Can Love in Milan, we were like 60 people, 70 people. And we were, most people actually already knew each other. Maybe not, you wouldn't recognize somebody's face, but you knew them from Discord, IRC, the GitHub repository, something like that. But this year it was much bigger, and it still worked. People still didn't really need as much something like a gizmo to break the ice. They were able to do it on their own. So, long story short, based on my experience, for now things are fine. It's not that hard to get people to come and be social. That said, of course, we did it with 140 people and change. So doing that with 300 people, obviously, it's not obvious that's gonna work as easily. But yeah. Yeah, Ninjatron, next time, I guess. But look, The good news is that, at least for now, we are on a improving trajectory with Software You Can Love. By the way, I'm not dropping frames anymore towards YouTube. So if somebody prefers YouTube, is watching this and prefers YouTube over Twitch, I think you should be able to switch back to YouTube and have it be fine, I think. FYI. Let's see. You get them to walk in a single file with curtains on each side so that they can see what's going on inside until they're already there. Like a slaughterhouse. Yeah, so they don't see all the other people socializing, and like they don't suspect what's going on until the very last minute. So this was great. Like, this was still great. The problem, like the only problem with this is that, so the full story of what happened is mildly funny. This location is where we ran the first Software You Can Love. The first Software You Can Love was run entirely in this hotel. So this specific room that you're seeing was fitted with tables one day, and then it was fitted as like the tables were pulled away, and then a bunch of chairs were put there. So we had like a theater layout, and we had the talk days at that point. The problem is, this is like the location was borderline. We were at the very limit of what the location could handle, kinda, last year as well, and so I originally did not want to return there. Not because the location is bad. I think the hotel is great, but we were so many that I thought it would be better to go somewhere else. And actually, I was in talks with another location to hold the social hacking day somewhere else. They ghosted me. And what's funny is that we spoke for like it wasn't instant, but like it took 2, maybe 3 weeks to nail down the details. But we got at the end to a point where they said, okay, this is what we're gonna give you, this is how much you're gonna have to pay us. And I replied, awesome. I mean, this is my invoicing details. Wipe up a contract so that we can make this happen. And that's when they ghosted me. Wipe up a contract, I'm gonna sign it and give you the money. That's where they ghosted me. That is the exact point where they stopped talking to me. So they basically got to the end, but I don't know. So, and it was getting kind of late, so I had to basically, ask at the hotel if they were able to make room for us. They did, so it was great. They basically saved my ass. But the point is that next year we have to move somewhere else. So, yeah, we'll have to find another location to do this and be comfortable, because this was already really borderline unfeasible. And actually, so I told you that we were already too many the first year. This year we were almost twice as many. So, well, actually even maybe more than twice as many. And so what ended up happening is that I rented 2 rooms. One room had tables, and the other room, which you saw some picture of already, was actually a small room for talks, for lightning talks. So we had basically organized, like at the very last minute, a bunch of lightning talks that were not recorded. And people basically, some people could stay here and attend these talks. Because the problem was that, none of the lightning talks were recorded. That was kind of, so first of all, they weren't recorded because organizationally we were not set up to be able to pull that off. But also, in a sense, I think it was like a feature, because there's way less pressure if your talk is not recorded. I believe that more than one speaker in the end said that they appreciated the format. Not only speakers, but also attendees. They told me that they liked having, the ability to attend lightning talks, and they also liked the fact that they were not recorded, because the speaker is like more free to say things in a sense if it's not recorded. It's a different vibe in a sense. Maybe, it's not like somebody how can I say? It's not like, since the talk is not recorded, the speaker is gonna get on stage and tell you their evil plan to conquer the world, right? You're still gonna get a technical talk, and I don't know, maybe you're gonna get a couple swear words more than you would if the thing was recorded. But in terms of you know, actual concrete content, is not a different. That said, it is a different vibe. It's perceived in a different way, both from the speaker and from the audience. And yeah, yeah, exactly. You don't get oh man, what's the other guy's name in English? So that's Pinky. Oh, Pinky and the Brain, right? So you don't get the brain that comes on the table and tells you what they're gonna do that night, right? People like exclusive things too. Yeah, maybe there's also that. So so in the end, what's funny is that the idea of giving lightning talks was kind of made out of necessity, because we didn't have the space to hold. Like, the point was that we didn't have the space to keep everybody in one room at the same time, so we had to do 2 rooms no matter what. And actually, I had to tell people, listen, you have this room where you have the tables, and you have this room where you have talks. Try to do a little bit of both. Try to not do only one thing the entire day. Partially also because to give everybody a chance to try everything, people need to be able to move a little bit. You need, you know, yeah, a little bit of fluidity between the rooms. Otherwise, there's not going to be space for people to do things. But so what I was saying is that it started as a thing done out of necessity, but it ended up being something that people appreciated. So Andrew programmed a game of life on his badge. There's a Frank gave out 3D prints of stuff. Let's see, what did Jeff do? Okay, Jeff had fractals. There's also a Zero Man port to the badge. I think at some point I asked people to post their badge stuff if they had any. Maybe it was above. No. Oh, this was also for people who don't know. So, talking about labor that you didn't pay for. So, Matt designed this badge going off of a Adafruit design, and the Adafruit design had a given polarity used for batteries, and the polarity literally means which of these 2 things is going to be the positive side, which is going to be the negative. Turns out, and this is a very standard connector that connects to very standard lithium batteries. So that part is fine. But Adafruit uses a polarity that nobody else uses. And originally we were thinking of buying batteries from Adafruit. But the problem is that they only ship from the US, and they don't like allowing you to put more than like 2 batteries in a order if you're buying from overseas, because I'm guessing they can't put a bunch of lithium batteries all bunched together in a box that gets on a plane. So we kind of got caught by surprise with that, and so I had to source batteries locally. The problem is I could source batteries locally, and well, I did. Which, by the way, all these things were also funny, surprises in terms of cost. So, for example, the badge was estimated in the ticket price as 50 euros. If you look at it, it's not exactly 50 euros of items. It's way less. But there's all these surprises. Like, you can get batteries for much cheaper than what I did. Problem is, we had these practical problems to deal with. Like it's on us, right? It's a mistake that we made in the end. We assumed that we could get batteries a certain way, then we couldn't. But at the same time, it's like it's stuff that happens. So you also have to account for that. In any case, so what I ended up doing is I bought batteries with the wrong, with the normal polarity, and I had to snip, cut off the connector from each one of them and rewire a new connector in. Man, that process was heavy. It was intense on my poor fingers. Looks like a drug bust. Yeah, we were snorting lithium ions. So that's also another thing that we had to do. That was funny. That said, it was something, but let me tell you, it was still nothing compared to what Matt had to do. So, in any case, I guess this was the thing. So yeah. Oh, this is... Oh, I guess that's an algorithm that works one way in the emulator and not as well on the badge itself. That's interesting because it kind of looks like... Is this like double buffering going wrong or something? Because it looks like this is like an old buffer that gets bleated back but not updated. Although it does get changed, it seems. Maybe it's just a sync issue. Because I actually don't know how this thing computes the next frame, so... Anyway. Oh yeah, no, so we did have more stuff. August with a tic-tac-toe. Nice. Oh, I just skipped over them. ZML logo. Right. This is Iridescent Rose, who decided that it was a good idea to put a oh man, what's this thing called? Well, you know, the real-time light reflection thing. God damn it, ray tracing, yeah, Raycaster. Oh my god, yeah, on the badge. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm done. I'm done talking about this stuff. Actually, unless somebody has questions, but in any case, I'm switching back to Zen. Is it possible to put Bash into it? Probably. The problem is, you know, you will have to mock a subsystem to expose to Bash. So actually, I don't know for sure because this thing doesn't have a ton of memory. So I don't know how big Bash is. But in any case, you will have to mock a bunch of things that Bash uses because obviously they don't really exist on the badge out of the box. So you know what? I'll say that it's more of a no than a yes now that I think about it, because you would have to re-implement all the terminal layer, like the terminal layer, maybe a bunch of syscalls. I don't know. It would be intense. It would be intense. Cherry Ramadis, my first time here. Hi, hello. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, want Bash, step 1, write OS. Yeah. Yep. But, you know, you could totally put on some kind of interpreter that kind of works that way, roughly speaking. So that would totally be doable. I mean, people put like fairly serious stuff on the badge compared to Bash. Okay, so what do we want to do with Zen, right? Because our question now is, we want to work on Zen. What do we want to work on? It's not like there isn't stuff to work on. There's a ton of stuff to work on. but we have to choose what to prioritize. And I haven't been in the Zen game for a while now, and so I need to get reacquainted with the things that we're doing. So the last big feature that I've implemented was added support for multilingual websites. Updating to 0.13 going. I believe we are fully 0.13 compatible already. I did this work, I think, Friday, and it was Friday, so we're good. I haven't updated the website to point at the new thing, but yeah, this is done. So the latest feature that I worked on is support for multilingual websites, which is good because, by the way, this is a prerequisite to be able to build the Zig website. The Zig website is a multilingual website. Zen -- migrate my Hugo site. Oh my god, no, man. To actually really pull something like that off, that would mean being able to translate templates. The whole point is to not have to touch those templates. So the whole point why I'm making this thing is so that I don't have to touch those templates. And like doing something that does that programmatically, that would be, I feel like that's unthinkable. I'll chalk it up as a untreatable problem. Cherry Ramadis, you can go here. Go to Zen SSG. Hey, Rocco Rager. Hello, hello, hello. But that said, obviously something like this would be great. The problem is that in some ways, I also want to purposely be a subset of what, like, even though many things are similar to how Hugo works, most of them are like subsets and they are not exactly compatible. Like you don't always have a trivial escape hatch to do what you were, to keep doing what you were doing with Hugo. So, anyway, let's see. My main project is a language learning app, and my localization has been a pain in every language except Flutter. With static site generators is not that bad, because with static site generators, keep in mind that, you know, a static site generator is ultimately a, I was about to say somewhat simplified version of issues that you have in other systems. Maybe it's not all that simplified, but it's probably at least slightly simplified. So in this case, the way multilingual websites work is I made docs for it specifically. So when you create a multilingual website, I give you add multilingual website, and then you specify where your layouts are. So I assume that you will be sharing across all the different variants, layouts, and static assets. Then you have a folder that contains the internationalization stuff. So this is like config files. Yeah, I use local codes. Although, you know, I've been debating with myself whether I want to really call these local codes or like just prefixes. Although no, I think I did it right. So yeah, you have the local code, which by default means that that's going to be the, you know, the path prefix for your website. But then if you want, you can override it. So like in this example, basically what I'm saying is, let's assume that I want to have two versions of my website. I want the EN-US version to be, well, variant to be the default one. So we output the EN-US variant on an empty prefix. While for the other one, we don't override the prefix. And so we let it naturally become IT. And so that would be the one that contains the Italian content. No, okay, now I'm starting to remember. So thank you, because this is like jogging my memory. Another reason why we have not just a random prefix, but we also have actual locale codes is because these then will be matched inside the internationalization folder. So inside the internationalization folder, you are going to have Ziggy files that basically contain translations of, keys that you define. So you have one file per language, and you define in your layout somewhere that you have something that a piece of text that should be back to top. And so you have the English version of it and the Italian version of it, and then you refer to it in your templates using the global internationalization object, and you do .get whatever key you want. And you can provide also a fallback. Actually, it depends, because you have different ways of accessing this thing, right? You have get this key, but provide a fallback value, or get this key, but error out if it's missing, or provide this key, and if it's not present, just like it's an if, right? So it's an optional, basically, this thing, etc., etc. And I also implemented like very basic support for formatting. Normally, you don't want the country extension unless you're making different sites for separate dialects like PTPT, BRBR. Yeah, that's how I did it. So the Zig website, for example, doesn't have the country thing, but I personally over time started liking it more. I feel like if you lock yourself into the only language prefix, the day that you like, maybe you don't have that need from the beginning, but then at some point you will, and it's a pain in the ass to migrate. You don't want to do that most of the time, because you at that point you are even tempted to keep redirects from the old URLs to the new ones, and so you need to map them. It's a huge pain in the ass. So I have personally come around to this, and now I strongly prefer the ones that also contain the country. Even if it's like redundant, not that interesting in the beginning, I still think it's more future-proof based on my experience and what I had to do. In any case, this system allows you to not force it, right? Because what you do is, well, you still have to specify the locale code fully, because if you think about it, it's important, because you're talking about localization. So it's not just where's the English translation, but you also care about, whether you are going to use kilometers or miles for distance, and Fahrenheit versus Celsius, stuff like that. For example, I believe that if you're doing, Canada, US, Canada, you want English, but you want kilometers over miles, I believe, or liters over something else. Well, it depends, right? But in any case, my point is, this is like your thing is covered, because all you have to do, if you don't want to have EN US, you basically you override the prefix to only be EN. And so you can have it both ways. Like I've designed this API. I wouldn't say this is necessarily the ultimate API design. I could see myself iterate over it a little bit more in the future, but all these use cases are accounted for. Like I have even a table here that tells you exactly how things are gonna work out in the end, especially if you also have like a different host URL, because obviously this is another thing that I had to think about when designing this. Some people have site.com/language, blah, 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 but some other people deploy different variants, different localized versions on different third level domains. And so if you deploy on a different third level domain, then you don't need the prefix, right? If you deploy to us.site.com, then you don't need /enus, because actually this should be underscore, I think. I think this is busted. I mean, I guess you can use the dash, not the underscore. Well, in any case, that's the idea. So this is not bad. This is this is like a decent feature in Zen. So this is one thing done towards the Zig website. Other things that we're gonna need. So originally, I was thinking that we needed also a way of testing Zig snippets as part of the build process. So being able to account for that. But now we're not gonna need that as much anymore. Hey, Solalicious! Welcome! Hello! Hello! So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, that originally. So the Zig website for the longest time has always told people to use the latest unstable Zig. But now we are shifting to not saying that anymore. We are telling people that actually using the latest tagged version is fine, because I think the consensus in general is that we are got to a point where it should be fine, at least for a while more. Probably the biggest need for country codes come from ZHCN and ZHTW. Is this because of like Cantonese versus, I forget the other version. What is it? It's Cantonese versus Mandarin. Yeah, thank you. Right. So yeah, I'm guessing that's the simplified versus traditional characters. Oh, Cantonese is a dialect, but maybe I'm misremembering. But oh, so that would be more Hong Kong specific. I see. Oh yeah, I think I remember, right? But that's not the case anymore, right? Hong Kong used to speak mainly Cantonese, but now I don't know what happened. Something happened, I believe, and now they don't speak as much Cantonese. They still? Okay. Did I not? I think I heard that like their TV stuff was changed. They like used to be in Cantonese, and then after the Chinese government took over, they started swapping also all kinds of like official communication away from Cantonese to Mandarin. Well, in any case, regardless, yeah. I guess that's a good example. Not going to happen. The film industry is still primarily done in Cantonese. I see. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so we used to tell people to use the latest unstable Zig, which in turn meant that we needed to test code snippets on the Zig website pretty much at every deploy, because not every single time, but most of the time a new deployment meant a new version of Zig being released. Well, not released, like a new unstable build being published by the CI system, which happens about every 8 hours or so. And so we wanted to test old snippets against this newest version. But now we want to tell people to stick to 0.13 or whatever the latest tagged release is going to be. And that means that now we don't want to do that anymore, which means that the current setup with Hugo is problematic and we need to change. And so that means that what used to be a requirement also in Zen to be able to swap out Hugo for the official Zig website, now it's not like that anymore. Now it's different. And more specifically, what we want is to have here. So here's the new plan. And by the way, I'm saying this because I think that this is what I'm going to start working on first. We want whatever system to run code snippet tests and maybe even render their output. We'll have to see. But in any case, run tests and potentially produce some kind of output. And then we want to have those become content that you source that you commit to your website. So we don't want those to be temporary artifacts, but we want those things to be something that you produce manually by running a Zig build subcommand, and then those become assets that you use in Zen. That's kind of the idea, because that's what we're gonna need for the new Zig website. In any case, by the way, is it normal to have less fun with specific technologies once you do use them for your full-time job? I experienced this exact thing with Rust. I don't know, maybe. I would say it does depend, in my opinion, to a good degree, also in the specifics of how you use each given technology in your day job. Because the problem is what you do with the technology in your own projects and in your own free time is not going to be an exact match with what you do at the company, right? And so there might be some things that you have to do with that technology at your day job that might be particularly annoying and end up detracting from the fun that you used to have before. Here's one example. Maybe in your free time you use C# to make Unity games or Godot games and you have fun. Then you start doing C# at your day job and you get hit by containers, design patterns, dependency injection, the latest stupid bullshit that Microsoft came out with that convinced everybody it's a good idea, and now you don't like it anymore, which is totally understandable. But you can see that basically now the nature of what you're doing is very different. I mean, C++ was worse, like a lot, and it's not even close. Okay, like it was much worse. And my current job is still super fun. I just noticed a decline in fun. I see. Have you looked at these unreasonable amount of keywords plus semantical differences in C#? In the past, I did, yeah. So I don't know. Okay, so I think that's what we want to work on. This also reminds me that I also would like to implement another thing in Zen, which is the ability to have a Zig build something depend on the Zen task. So something that depends on Zen being done with its job. And what's funny, hey Johnny, yes. Time to update Borg. You know what's funny? I actually already did. Actually, Borg, well, the source code, not the latest build, not the latest release, but the head, does support YouTube. I haven't turned it on because it's actually against the terms of services. The terms of service of both platforms. Both YouTube and Twitch do not want you to mix the chat streams. So, as you know, I'm such a good boy, right? So I am never going to do anything against the terms of service. To me, terms of service are like the law, the stone tables, right, with the 10 commandments. To me, they are as important. That said, so long story short, I have to decide. I have to decide when when to turn it on. Just have 2 instances open. You know, you're not the first one to mention this, but I don't want to. I'm not gonna bend that way. Like, either I don't do it or I do it fully. No half measures. No fucking half measures. Either I stay quiet and be a good boy, or they get the full fuck you. No in betweens. Shinema is streaming now. Yeah, the problem is that I'm doing web dev, so I also need to show people the web stuff at the same as well. But interesting that Shinema has streaming. That's hilarious. Although, you know, it's a little bit worrying. Hire me. Consulting. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so it's not yet. It hasn't been bought yet by some venture capital thing. Watching on YouTube, chatting on Twitch. YouTube has less delay. Yeah, I believe so. I think I have like very low latency enabled on YouTube. And YouTube has no ads. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm not sure about that, but I do believe that the ad block works. Twitch actually has very sophisticated ads, so that's what's going on there. The people are asking on YouTube, where is he streaming? I'm streaming on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I'm simulcasting. Yes, having YouTube Premium helps as well. Actually, you know, now that you mention it, yes, I believe that YouTube has used to be easier to basically have your ads blocked, but now lately they changed it. I believe that lately, if they detect an ad block, they're going to they make more of a mess. Yeah, you pretty much need YouTube Premium nowadays if you really want to be rid of ads. It sucks. All these stupid fucking companies suck. Adblock works fine. They were A/B testing it, Steven. I think that maybe you might be lucky, but I like, if you search for it, you will find that they were A/B testing more extreme forms of response to you having an ad block. Firefox uBlock defeated it. Oh yeah, to be fair, I haven't been following, so that might also be it. Yeah. About the building step, can you access the builder object from the dependency instance? I think you missed it. Can you access the builder objects from the dependency instance? Oh man, I'm having trouble parsing that sentence. Not a question. You can access the builder objects from the dependency instance. So it's a statement. I'm using Firefox uBlock and I got my first YouTube ad ever yesterday. Oof. So wait a second. I think there's a few things intertwined here. Okay, let me start with this. I believe that I believe that now a few things can be improved actually using the API. So, you know what? Let's start with implementing these improvements. So this thing that I'm doing here, yeah, okay. So this is what you were referring to. Here's this for my capsule. So this can actually be improved. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm talking about something else now, so I'll make it clear in a moment. But this is not what I was talking about. What I was talking about is something like you have the ability to have one of your build steps depend on Zen being done. And right now, I don't believe this is possible, because right now, what we do with Zen is have the install step depend on what we do. And so I believe that doing this means that no other thing can depend on Zen being done building the website, which is different than this stuff, because this is basically like, these are functions that we define in the Zen build.zig, but then you use them from the website itself. You were mentioning Zen supporting testing of code snippets earlier or something, but I think I missed it. Will Zen be tied to stable Zig? I've already switched to stable Zig. So right now I'm updated to Zig 013, and I will stay there until Zig 014. So this is where we are. You know what? With the caveat that if at some point, you know, I stumble upon something that I need to be added or something, then maybe I will consider like maybe a nominated version of Zig or something. But the general gist is that I'm now switching from unstable to stable, and as for testing code snippets, what I was saying earlier is that the official Zig website used to the official Zig website used to require running tests at every deploy, because every deploy meant a new version of Zig. But now we are switching also the official website to recommend people to use the latest release, so 0.13 for now. And that means that at that point, we do not want anymore to run tests every build. We only want to run tests basically whenever you update your version of Zig, pretty much. So this means that a few things are gonna have to work differently. And right now, for example, running tests for the official Zig website also renders the syntax highlighted source code. It's part of the process. Like the tool called doctest runs the test and renders the source code unless you ask it not to. And so that means that since that process would run every single deploy, those were basically, how can I say, like temporary assets that you would produce every single time. But now, since we're not running this stuff every single time, then we need to change the model completely and instead have these tests, assuming that we want to keep, let me put it this way, setting aside syntax highlighting, running the test sometimes also produces some output that you want to show. The result of running the command. Basically, you want to show that on the website. So that means that those assets basically need to become part of your source. So now we're gonna need, for the Zig website, something like Zig build, I don't know, snippets. That subcommand that runs all the snippets and produces their output as assets that then can be referenced by the static site generator. So that's what we need for the Zig website, and that is what I'm going to implement and make possible to do with Zen first. So yes, I'm talking about doctest. I tried building it, but it requires some very old version that probably doesn't exist anymore. That should not be the case. So I haven't looked at it in a while, to be fair, but doctest, well, Andrew updated it 2 weeks ago. So no, doctest has to be updated, my doctest, because, well, at least had to be updated, because this thing had to basically, you know, run the code snippets against latest Zig. Everything needed to be latest Zig for this. This is not going to be the case anymore. Like, this thing should be retired. Like, everything is changing. Everything is changing for the Zig website. But in any case, that's what I'm working on. Okay, that said, let's go back to this. So here's one bad thing that I was doing before, okay? You, as the user, give me a handle to your project, to your build. So let me see if we can show it here with the translation documentation example. So in the website build.zig, you're gonna have your own build, and you have to pass it in to my Zen function, because I'm gonna build like a bunch of steps. I'm gonna add a bunch of steps to your build graph, but I need to recognize Zen as a dependency. So I need to fetch Zen as a dependency from your build. And what I was doing earlier is, to make it easier for people to just pass in B, I was doing project.dependency Zen. The problem is, this only works if you decided to call Zen Zen. If you, for some reason, did not want to call Zen Zen in your project, this is gonna fail. I think an alternative was to ask the user to provide basically this. The problem is asking the user to provide, well, I guess this to the full dependency, like an instantiated dependency. The problem with that is that then they have to choose the optimization and every other option, which is not great, because I want to control those based on whether you're trying to make a build release of Zen. Otherwise, everything should be debug release of Zen, debug build of Zen. Otherwise, everything should be released fast. But at the same time, by doing this, I'm like, it's a problem if you gave it a different name in your zone file to this dependency. So I think that 0.12 solved this. Build system. System package mode, not interesting to us right now. Lazy dependencies, not really interesting to us right now. Introduce b.path. A bunch of that had to change also in our code, but it's not super interesting right now. Header installation. There we go. Dependency from build.zig. I think people really mentioned Zen as an example with this stuff somewhere. Let me see. Given a struct that corresponds to the build.zig of a dependency, b.dependency from build.zig returns the same dependency. In other words, if you have already imported a dependency's build.zig struct, you can use this function to obtain the corresponding dependency. This function is useful for packages that expose functions from their build.zig files that need their corresponding dependency, such as for accessing package relative paths, blah, blah, system commands, blah, blah, blah. So this is basically the new version of what I was doing. And the thing is, it's based on the identity of the Zen struct definition, not on the string anymore. Let's see. 3 arguments. Right. One is project. There we go. This is the type that we gave. Args, what was before? Okay. There's a different optimize here. Any more? No, these are the only 2. Okay. So let's see if this works. I have updated Zite to 0.13 already, so you're good there. Thank you. I think I have already actually done it. I think my depths are all good. Yeah, okay, I actually don't remember precisely this comment, which is it, but it should be fine. It builds, so shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, there you go. It builds. It's good enough. Okay, so there's that. So what was I saying? Okay, there was a tiny but good improvement. So I guess the next thing is, okay, how do we architect a build script that tests all the snippets from the Zig website and makes that happen? That's another one. Then for the Zig website, I think we need the templating system to be a little bit more full-fledged than what it is right now. I think there's a couple of things that I do in there that are just not possible at the moment, and we kind of need to make them happen. For example, one is the goddamn JSON file that contains all the latest versions of Zig. That file is saying as a JSON file. Like even if I like Ziggy as a file format myself, we're not changing that JSON file to anything else, I think, anytime soon. So that means that, and more in general, it makes sense for Zine to be able to, well, somehow do something with JSON files, obviously. So we're gonna need to work on this stuff, I think. Yeah. It's good it's JSON and not XML. Well, you have the XML version, right? Well, not exactly XML, but close enough. You have the download page that's HTML. It would probably be more semantically structured, though, if it was XML. I agree. Not exactly the same thing. Still. So, but the point being is, maybe it's time to birth the assets subsystem. So when you define a website, you can also define something like computed assets or like build assets. And the build assets are lazy paths. They are not necessarily files inside the assets folder, but they're just lazy paths that the Zig build system provides to you, and then you basically depend on them, I guess. Yeah. Yep. So, you know what? I said that I wanted to start working on that, but I think it requires some design work. So it's not something that I can start coding right away. I will probably have to spend some time thinking about it before I start jotting down some code. Here's one thing that came to my mind that I want to try and do, though, in terms of, you know, actual programming, just to do something and not be completely useless today. The website, the Zig website right now produces programmatically the sponsors list. The problem is these things haven't been updated by the CI at all for now. And the CI runs. It just runs, how can I say? It runs successfully, but then it never really produces anything useful. So here's what I want to do. I basically want to see this diff actually happen. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to purposely change these files and watch if that job actually mutates them. I'm gonna like add a comment, maybe like something that is non-disruptive. Actually, you know what? Let's put it. Yeah, let's put it there. Oh, yeah. What? I just pulled, man. Not possible to fast forward. Oh, god damn it. Come on, you can rebase. Okay, so let's test. We have these source files that contain comments. Both of them. These comments are not going to be regenerated by the CI. Let's run the workflow. It did. Okay, so it is working. This made a new commit. That there was a new line in here for some reason. Did I introduce a new line? Oh, I know what happened. When I saved, my helpful HTML auto formatter thing changed a bunch of things, I guess. In any case, we got rid of the test comment. And pretty much everything else got regenerated. Okay, that's good. Okay, so in the end, it was implemented correctly. I just wanted to run it because I never ran it before, so I wasn't sure that it would even actually work at all. Ah, that's good. In any case, let's take a look also on GitHub. Let's answer Felix because he opened a very good issue. So I guess let's look at what's valid or not valid HTML. Here's one thing that I was thinking. One way of pulling this off could be this. We could put $signs in front of the attribute. Could we do this? So like maybe instead of class, we do $class. Would that work? This thing doesn't seem to have trouble with it. Is there any other framework that puts $signs in front of attributes? I think I'm not the only one. I think this is something that has been attempted already in the past. And you know what? If we do put some kind of name spacing for our thingies, that also means that we're finally going to be able to switch back from loop to for example. I don't know. So instead of var, this becomes $bar. maybe this is something that we really need to do. You know what? Maybe this is something that I want to work on now. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Let's take a look at our diff. So we have this fix implemented. We have a couple of I think this just improves error messages a little bit. No huge difference, I think. We gain context page translation. Okay, that seems fine. And whatever. Okay, let's create a new branch. New tags, new authors. Okay, let's start changing how attributes work in here. So this is all stuff inside of super. We need to take a look at super 3 now. ID, template, loop attribute, if attribute, else attribute, var, debug. Now we have all of this, but this can all stay the same. The problem is that we need to recognize the actual string differently now. Although we don't know how the three-seater parser is going to behave in this situation. Is the three-seater integrated into NeoVim? No, I'm fine with the web one. So last time I looked at this guy, the HTML thing was busted. Did they fix it? I think they did. Okay. Okay, we have an attribute. Attribute name, quoted attribute name. What if I put a $sign here? What do you think of this $sign? The $sign becomes part of the attribute name, so this is good. Although I'm not sure this is allowed by the HTML spec. Give me the HTML5 specification, I guess. Multi-page version. Elements of HTML. Oh god, I did something that I shouldn't have done. Okay, HTML elements, document metadata, body, element, headings and outlines, grouping content, text level semantics, links, attributes. So I don't think it's up here. There we go, attributes. An attribute value is a string except where otherwise specified. Attribute values on HTML elements may be any string value, including the empty string, and there is no restriction on what text can be specified in such attribute values. I think there were some rules though on what this thing. It takes forever to load, dude. It's like it's a website. Why are you? The fucking HTML spec as an HTML document takes forever to load. I don't know, man. I don't know. Resources, XML compatibility, space, button, name, scripting plugins, character encodings. I think there were some there are some rules like about escaping and what can be or cannot be put in there. HTML attribute grammar. Okay, this is talking about attributes that have special meaning, Boolean attributes, event header attributes. See also. Problem is that it doesn't really tell you about the grammar. The document that I was looking at is actually the correct document. It just takes forever to load. The HTML syntax only describes rules and resource labeled with an HTML mean type. XML is different. Okay, fine. HTML element, comments, space characters, doc type, elements, tags. Start tags, end tags, attributes. There we go. Have a name and a value. Attribute names must consist of one or more characters. Attribute names must consist of one or more characters. Other than space. Null, quotation mark, apostrophe, greater than sign, solidus, or equal sign. Oh, interesting. So that means that you can put a lower than symbol as part of an attribute name. Fine. Maybe written in any mix of lower and uppercase letters that are ASCII case insensitive, that are an ASCII case insensitive match for the attribute's name. Okay. Who calls it the solidus? I don't know. Okay, so like a dollar sign can totally go there. So we can totally change those to be dollar sign this, dollar sign that, and it's gonna work. So let's change this in our parser. Tag name string. Probably want to increase the size of this thing. ID, let's leave ID as is. There we go. $debug, $var. Maybe we could say if it's ID or dollar sign ID, and either could be fine, maybe. Although I don't know if we can actually do this, because I might be occasionally searching for this stuff. Let's assume for now that that cannot happen. $debug, $var. If. Ooh, template is an attribute also. Fuck. Oh man. Yep. Else. What did it do? Loop. Inline loop. Okay. I don't want to be too optimistic, but I think that might be it. Now the problem is, if we do this, then this is going to not interpret our website correctly. We might even trigger a bug. No bug triggered, but oh, it's a different port. That's annoying. There's this. I think some things are not working correctly. Actually, I'm surprised that this match works. Why does it work this much? Oh yeah, because inheritance works. Oh god. There's something missing. Huh. You know what? Copy. Let's do the Chrome thing. So I expected this to be partially borked. I'm just curious about why certain things are borked in a certain way. But in any case, that makes sense. Also the page title, yeah, borked. Look, put the $sign, fix the title. That's good. I think we are missing also the title. So put the $sign here, put the $sign here, and I think we're gonna fix also what's happening up there. There you go. Class var Alright, so SSG in Zig, I click welcome. Yep, that's how it is. You can go to you can go here. You can go to zen-ssg.io and you can learn more. Still work in progress. It works well enough so that my personal blog, for example, has been moved to it, but it's not complete enough yet to support, for example, the official Zig website. And we're working towards supporting the official Zig website, towards getting to that level of completion. I have to say, I don't love the $sign in front of our attribute because it's kind of redundant, right? You already have the $sign in the string itself because you're gonna have $this, $that in there. But yeah, you're part of the Z Software Foundation. I am. Yes, I work there. So this works. You know what? I'll let Felix know. Okay, are we done here? I think we're, well, maybe not done, but we're close to done, I think. Right, because now we have, okay, look at this. Here we have a normal attribute content, which doesn't drive any metaprogramming, but the attribute itself is scripted. So this right now is still fine. Yeah, I don't think I want to change this. I think this page is fine. It doesn't seem to have any scripted attribute, really. Okay, in any case, let's see. Zig has been on my to-do list for a while. I just haven't found an excuse to do it. Well, find the time. You know what? I'm sure that eventually something will pop up and you will find a good opportunity to try out Zig. I would say that if you're interested in something like, does Zig allow me to use C++ lib in the code? Yes. Yes, you can. Although you cannot interface with C++ directly. So to interface your C++ code, you need to write C bindings to it. Zig can generate C calling conventions, not the C++ ones. Well, C++, the ABI of C++ is complicated, right? So, and then you have generics, etc. So I want to try using GLFW. You can find bindings for those in Zig. Like you can find libraries that give you Zigified bindings to those things. Yeah, in any case, C boilerplate stuff is the solution for binding to C++ stuff. Keep in mind that in a sense, if you want to really enjoy Zig, you have to get into the mindset of wanting to purge C++ from your code base. Maybe not all at once, obviously, like your point of doing that, like introducing some Zig so that you don't have to throw away what you have, totally works, totally makes sense. But as a general point, like your mindset should be to lay down the C++ templated, object-oriented, riddled code and embrace a different style of doing things. Just saying. Okay, I think we're good at this point. I really think we're good. The only thing that remains, I think... Oh, no, this one. The title. The only thing that remains is this template attribute. It's this template attribute that maybe should be $. I have moderation set super tight, sorry, from the event, so it's stops comments that say even just the word shit. Let me undo some of these things. Moderation. Remove blocked hyperlinks. Automod rules. A little moderation, not a ton of filtering. Okay, it should be better now. Yeah, automod flags LMAO. Yeah, I toned it down though. Now it should be less restrictive. That's because when we were running the conference, we were showing chat on stream and everything else. Sorry, not on the stream, but like on the big screen. By the way, that's another interesting Software You Can Love topic. Like, should we do chat on the big screen again or not? If we are at the cinema, we are still gonna get like a very widescreen screen where you can fit both a 16:9 slide and have some space. If we don't do that, we're not gonna get that space at all anymore. But then the question still remains: should we have chat or not? I don't know. It's debatable. It was a fun experiment, and I think that, you know, it was the first year doing it, so it's not like we did it the best way possible. But so I would expect the best possible version of it to be significantly better than what ended up happening this year. But still, what's your Mac configuration? This is a Mac Mini M2, and right now I'm programming on macOS because I upgrade the virtual machine. So did I turn it off? I don't even remember. So I'm programming on macOS because I'm doing web dev. But when I'm not doing web dev, usually I program in my Nexus VM, as you can see here. Usually I open this, then I do, oh man. This? Yeah. Oops. Oh no. I don't think I have Borg well updated here. In any case, I usually work on my Linux virtual machine, but right now I don't. Tuxedo announced that they're going to do a Snapdragon X Elite laptop, by the way. It might mean we finally have a great Arch 64 Linux laptop. Well, yeah, I would be curious to see this. Although, personally, I don't know. Like, the Mac, you know, has other things other than the CPU. The CPU is huge, and if you're able to get the CPU without Mac, great, obviously. But I like the trackpad. I like, you know, the fact that it's like well-built, aluminum, whatever. As long as it doesn't break, it's fine, right? If it breaks, then it's a problem. But you know what? I suspect, in my opinion, Apple knows what's going on. Like in Europe, they have to give better warranty than they do abroad. Like in Italy, when you buy a Mac, you get 2 years of warranty because by law, companies have to give you consumers 2 years of warranty for free. Well, included with the price of buying the thing. And my theory is that they, in my opinion, they take the units that score the best in their quality control stuff and ship them to Europe and keep the faulty ones in the United States because they don't have to do as much warranty there. It's just a theory. I would do it, honestly. I would do it. It's not like they're gonna give you the shitty ones, but I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure, but I suspect that their quality controls thing is not just giving a pass and a fail. Well, ultimately, it does result in a pass and a fail, but I also would expect that units can have some kind of scoring, and you, rationally speaking, you want to send the better scoring ones to the place where you have the most to lose. If something blows up. What's your opinion on pineapple on pizza? My opinion is that you can put on your pizza whatever makes you happy. So feel free to put pineapple or worse if you want. As a combination, I don't think that pineapple on pizza is particularly interesting. I understand the concept of, mixing savory and sweet stuff together. But I believe that out there are significantly more interesting combinations. One that I would recommend people to try out if they've never done that is prosciutto plus cantaloupe. If you never had this, you should have this. This is a sweet and savory combination that is mind-blowing. You're vegetarian. Okay, I have another one to propose to you then as a vegetarian. This is truly mind-blowing. A second one that I feel like it's not as mind-blowing, but still pretty intense. Johnny. We need to organize. We need to make this happen. I don't know how exactly, but yeah, you need to try this. You need to try this. Let me tell you, it's mind fucking blowing. And people don't even know why. And I have a theory of why. In any case, this is one. Another one is grana, which I guess you could call parmesan. So parmesan plus pears. So this works for vegetarians, I guess. We have like so parmesan and pears. Great combo. I would personally consider those sweet and sour combination to be dramatically more interesting than pineapple on pizza. So yeah, grana padano, not at all parmesan. I know. Grana beats parmigiano hands down, but still. Does African love Discord announcements and get messages deleted regularly? Yes, I am so sorry, Steven. So here's what's happening. I started simulcasting on YouTube, and the stupid YouTube bot keeps spamming announcements that I have a new live thing going live, and I don't want that, and I need to fix it. I think I looked into it the other time, but then the bot isn't particularly smart, so I need to basically kill it. I'm working on it. I'll do it. I promise. I'm sorry if it spammed you. I was hoping that I could sneak delete the messages and nobody would notice, but such is life, I guess. Yeah. So in any case, this is great. I don't like my umami paired with something sweet. Still so delicious. I would also recommend you consider trying this. When it comes to cheese, it's not even a particularly weird thing, right? Cheese, like pairing cheese with something sweet, is not that unheard of, right? You sometimes have like these cheese platters mixed with fruits. Yes. You also have like all the sweet mustards. Oh, it replaces the message with original message deleted. Oh god. Yeah. So it's okay. It's something to try. Like I would agree that I wouldn't want everything that I eat to be like this. That said, I not only dare you, I not only double dare you, but I triple dare you to try prosciutto and cantaloupe and not like it. It's impossible. Well, actually, I don't know. Somebody might not like it, but I think that this combo is so solid. This is the most sweet and sour solid combination that I have ever experienced in my life. Any weird combinations you like that includes fish? cantaloupe isn't a good fruit? What are you talking about? Are you sure that you're not allergic to it? You know, you might not like cantaloupe because you might have an allergy to it. Actually, I am allergic to it a little bit, but I don't care. If they're, well, by itself, I don't eat it, but with prosciutto, By the way, let's see. This is a message on YouTube. Zig is an amazing language. I think its website should look better. It's not a requirement, but still would be cool to have a good looking website. Well, as who designed this version of the website, I'm not sure I agree with the sentiment. I'm joking. I can tell you that the website, so small Zig aside, and then we go back to the food stuff, which is what the stream is truly all about at the end of the day. But small Zig aside, so the website is, it's not super fancy. There are fancier websites out there, that's for sure. But at the same time, it's something where, as the project organizers, like, you know, people running the project, it feels like it's not something that is worth spending too much effort on improving once it's good enough in communicating the core points for your target audience. So right now, the target audience for the Zig website is software developers who have an interest in trying, you know, some bleeding edge, which means buggy, lower level programming technology, Zig. And for this kind of audience, it really doesn't matter too much if, you know, the spacing here is right or wrong. Obviously, you know, things that are nicer, better designed, more pleasant to the eye are obviously better, but they also take some effort. And the type of audience that we have, in my opinion, gets the right copy, gets a decent code sample. Actually, we had discussions about this code sample. I think there might be better code samples out there, but as for now, nobody has submitted a better code sample than this one. So there was some fun bike shedding when we were working on this stuff. So for now, I feel like it's good. Personally, I don't think it makes sense for us to touch the Zig website much or at all until we're gonna have to change the audience that it targets. And this is going to happen. One thing that we were talking about this stuff back when I was doing this work a couple years ago. And one thing that people need to understand is that the website will change its target audience at some point. It doesn't mean that the project has changed its target audience, but the website will have to change. So at some point, the website will have to target managers, decision makers, people who have to decide which technology to adopt for a project. And those decision makers are influenced by developers, but it's not the developers. And so the messaging on the website will have to change, and it will actively make the Zig website less appealing to software developers. And that is part of the deal. That is by design. One good example of this it's these guys, Rust. Rust, as an example of this, used to have a website that was in many ways nicer from this perspective of a software developer, because it was less corporate. It was more geared, the core audience were developers, and for developers it was. But then at some point in the growth of Rust, it had to change, and now it's in some ways you could say that it's worse, because it's like it has testimonials. Like there's a fucking Yelp testimonial on the web on the front page. Like it's ugly. But the point is, the point of the website is not to be good looking for you. Ultimately, the point of the website ultimately is to have the technology grow. Let me put it this way. It's not a matter of like conquering the world, obviously, or rather, it certainly is not a matter of conquering the world from my perspective, and I would say probably the Zig project in general. But ultimately, having this type of stuff, having like a stupid fucking Yelp testimonial on the front page, is what helps create a bigger job market for the technology. So you pay the price that the Zig website is not as nice as it was for you before, but in exchange, what you get is that you can actually find a job where you can use that language during the day, in your day job. And so I would say that that's a trade-off that it's absolutely worth making. So that is a trade-off that I will make when the time comes. So yeah. Please promise me one thing though. Don't ever make the Zig website an SPA. No, I don't think that will ever happen. We do have the docs that are an SPA. Autodoc is an SPA. But no, the website is never going to become an SPA. I think also that SPAs are problematic with regards to, ranking, indexing on search indexes. And it does make sense to not make indexing and ranking of the Zig website too hard for Google. So long story short, you know what? Maybe I'll conclude my answer to the YouTube comment by saying this. When I redesigned the Zig website, I didn't redesign it completely like from scratch. I took the original design language, which was already there, and I just kind of like played on it, introduced new visual elements, made some changes to it. Like for example, this button here, this block here that says "Get Started" and has the latest release thing, and then documentation and changes. These I come up with, but like for example, the gray bar with the yellow, the orange line above it, and this general visual language that comes from Andrew. So, yeah, I suspect that we're never gonna lose this visual style unless somebody comes out of nowhere with some mind-blowingly good idea. But yeah, beware that the Zig website ultimately is something that you will have to let go of a little bit. Google runs a full Chrome instance to index web pages because so many are SPAs now. Yeah, like I can see that they have stuff like that, but at the same time, we're not really SPA hungry. Also, I think that SPAs, like you accidentally produce an SPA if you're using a framework. That's usually what ends up happening. Like, oh, I use the framework and whoops, it's an SPA now. But we don't use frameworks for this stuff, so it's not gonna become an SPA. Also, the plan is to move to Zen, right? To stay on with static site generators. We don't accidentally make an SPA if you use static site generators. So this is it. And also, here's another one. Not only we don't accidentally do SPAs, but also the Zig website doesn't depend on JavaScript. Like you can toggle off JavaScript and the website is gonna work correctly, and that is kind of one of the things that we do care about. So yeah, that's not gonna change. I'm pretty sure you can accidentally make SPAs with SSGs. I think that the only person who I know of that has successfully done that is Soapstone. Is Soap still there? Why not JS? It's one of those things where it's not like there's nothing really for us to give up by not having any JS running on the website. It's like nothing really screams that it needs JavaScript for now. So making the website work with JavaScript disabled is one of those things that makes a difference for some developers a little bit, because they care. I don't know, not that interesting. Well, you want to know another example? The software you can love website also doesn't need JavaScript. Like, you can disable JavaScript and it's gonna work. So yeah. That said, now that people mention WebAssembly, we do plan to add a playground on the Zig website. Like, as soon as the WASM backend becomes good enough, the plan is to add a WASM playground for Zig, and that I believe that needs JavaScript to run. So that will be one component of the Zig website that's not going to work without JavaScript. Just compile Zen plus the Zig compiler to WASM, build the whole site on page load, and then render the page. That would be funny. You know what's funny? I bet you that even if we did this, it would still load faster than fucking Blazor. Is still a thing, Blazor? Has Microsoft by any chance decided to abandon this fucking cursed project? No, they're still cursing us with this thing. God damn it. God damn it. Anyway. I just discovered that Zig can cross-compile. I've been looking for an alternative to Rust and Go for my CLI development for so long. Oh. Zig not only can cross-compile. Actually, if you care about cross-compiling, this language, Rust can cross-compile Rust. Actually, can Rust cross-compile Rust? I think so. I'm starting to have second thoughts, but I think so. And Go can cross-compile Go. But Zig can cross-compile C and C++ code. That's where things start changing seriously. Zen, my static site generator, works on a bunch of different platforms, and it does have C and C++ dependencies. And those get cross-compiled by Zig. Well, cross-compiled. With Zen, cross-compiling is not that interesting because you build things on the fly for your own host, but no matter the host, it builds. But then you can also do it with cross-compilation, yes. I miss some features from Rust while coding Go, and I miss the simplicity from Go while coding Rust. I think Zig might be a good fit. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, there are good chances that you might like it. Like, if you can appreciate these two extremes, then yeah. If you want to write apps for Microsoft Teams, you gotta use Blazor. Jesus Christ. Jesus. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I need to hop on a bunch of calls, actually. So I think I will have to end the stream here. Sorry, I didn't do much. I spent most of the time chatting with people. But no matter what, if you had to take one thing away from this live stream, is this. You're welcome, by the way. You're welcome. You're welcome. You could have lived your entire life not knowing about this. But now you know. And you don't have to thank me. You don't have to thank me. Let's see on YouTube. The site looks clean and to the point. I would only like to suggest to have multiple example showcases via dropdown, like bflangs. There's another webpage with some more examples, and yeah, we debated on whether to add more on the front page or not. That's a reasonable suggestion, yeah. Why not just have two different pages, one for the managers and one for the developers? Because every time you ask people to do a click, you lose half of the people. When you want to optimize for an audience, you really want to go all in. Sure, having a page for a particular like persona can help, and it's better than not having it. But you really do see a humongous difference between having them be immediately placed in front of content that is relevant for them versus having them to search for it. On top of that, once you start getting to managerial people, they tend to be very I can find a word that isn't too offensive, but like they tend to be a little bit scatterbrained sometimes, and so they will often not come to your thing with the mindset of, okay, I will now drill down, dive deeper, and truly spend some time learning this thing. They will instead just lightly browse and see if something piques their interest. If they don't see this, oftentimes they will fly to some other thing right away. People who are high-level decision makers, not all, some are fine, and actually those who are fine are already served by the current website, but some other ones will immediately run away if they don't get what they are looking for immediately. And we have a page just for me that is just the build index. Jacob Lee, you can have the JSON file, downloads.json. Oh yeah, sorry. So I was bad mouthing you and what you were doing with the website as a joke, and then I changed subject before actually pointing that out. Zigdor Guide isn't an SPA. I think Jason is doing perfecting or something. Yeah, it's a hybrid thing. That was also how my website worked. Like it acts as an SPA if you have JavaScript enabled, and it gracefully degrades into a multi-page thing, like a normal thing, if you don't have it enabled. And so when it's active, it does prefetching and maybe can do even more. Like I think you enabled search right a while ago, so it has all these fancy things, and it's not all that bad because ultimately you do have a pre-build step where you pre-build, like it's still a static site that's being produced, right? So it's just like it's a smart one. But I was joking. Mostly, I do think that you didn't really need this stuff, but if it's comfortable for you, then ultimately that's all that matters. Okay. So thank you all, and I think I'll see you all next time. Let me see if there's anybody that might be interested in a raid. Anybody live that announced in the Zig Discord? I don't believe so. Okay, so guess there's Prime. What is he doing? Study finds agile software fails more frequently. Oh god. Okay, I guess I'll send you all to Prime. I know Prime would love to have Andrew on sometime. Yeah. Andrew right now doesn't seem to be super keen on doing these type of appearances. Might not be all that surprising, but apparently the guy really likes hacking on compilers more than appearing on live streams. So I already mentioned this to Primagen. I think it will happen maybe at some point. It's just, a matter of making priorities align. Why can't I search for Prime? Oh, because it has the. Oh my god, if I don't put the, it doesn't find it. Well, see you all. Bye bye.